Hello, folks. Hello. What it is a great time to be here with Lightspeed Racing. What a great time to have another race. And now we jump into round 2 of 3. So I personally cannot wait to see what our drivers have in store. But first off, a bit of a recap from last time before we head into the info for the race is that we had a few big standout competitors. So Roberto Ricci, you may remember him, he's in the Lamborghini Huracan, and he absolutely dominated the Pro Division field. Several seconds ahead, Valencia was his stomping ground, and he proved that he has absolutely got the moxie to bring it in. Guerin is going to be in P2, only driver in the BMW M4, with Daniel Moffat in the V8 Vantage. Looking at the Pro-Am division, we had Julian Boma taking the lead on that one, and a triple podium for the Ferrari 296 GT3, with Fabio Gallimini and Ryan Bronchett taking second and third. We did have a couple of live penalties, remember, so you got to take that into account. Francesco Svelto is going to be taking the amateur division, with Scott Cameron and Adriano Gregorelli taking the second and third. So those are the podiums for each race division in Valencia. And now we move forward to Misano. So as we speak, the drivers are just finishing up their practice session, and we will be jumping in to see them as time progresses, and we'll jump in within a few minutes in order to check in and how they are doing, get a little bit of a gauge for who's looking particularly strong on today's races, on today's track. Misano, it's a very interesting track. I personally haven't seen much action of it myself, and we can certainly get a little bit of a gauge because it's a fairly different track from Valencia. You can see it's a lot more high-speed straights, a lot more time to open the car up, and you do have those technical sections, so you will have an opportunity for drivers to push and really get the top speed out of their car, but they cannot compromise their aero too much. So 4,226 meters, 16 corners. Originally, I think it was 3.7 kilometers, but then got extended multiple times and then renamed to honor a fallen motorcycle racer. So that is where we get to see. So as a reminder, folks, you have 30 minutes of practice, with the drivers are just finishing up now. The lobby opened 23 minutes ago, and we are just going to pop our head in and see some initial times. Then we have a 20-minute quali session with a 45-minute race. No required pit stop, so these drivers can pelt it all the way to the end. They don't have to worry about pit strategy here. They can set their cars up to go all the way. So let us know in the chat who you've got pinned to be a potential winner. Ricci could be looking very strong, as well as Gallimini I could see doing very well here. And we've got a couple of different competitors too on the track, so in a minute we are going to jump over and we are going to check in to see what they are doing. So let's see what we have for our drivers. Just about to jump in now, and let's see what they can do. This is round 2 of the LSR Twilight Cup. Support us on Patreon if you haven't done so already, and let's jump into this. And there we are. So apologies for the wait. We're on board with Roberto Ricci, who was a big standout competitor last time out, seeing what he can do. And he got a 34.7 this lap so far, but say 33.9 is his best, and he looks like he's on top here in free practice. We have about 5 minutes to go, and we have a few different opinions. One is that we have a lot of different drivers out on track. We've got the Ragsdales in the McLaren, I believe that's the 720S. We have got a few different drivers down the bottom of the field as well. We've got Keikoven, we've got Durazio, and I wait to see what they can do. They're in the pits right now, and you can see the different colors denoting the division. So a white driver number denotes that they are in the Pro Division. A grey driver number is for the Pro-Am, which is the middle class, and then the amateur division is denoted by the color red. So if you ever get confused, you ever see multiple races going on, that is your indicator. So definitely keep an eye on who's the top with the different colored boxes. So far, Ricci leads, and we have Galamini as well, who will be one to certainly keep an eye on. We're keeping an eye on Ricci for the moment. You can see if we just sort of jump on board here, you can see how close he is taking the curbs and how much, like we saw back at Valencia, he's willing to extend the track limit to the very edge. Remember, if it's allowed by stewarding, it is fair game. And if it's allowed by the game, then it is also fair. But there goes a 135.2, so he's not going to be getting an improvement this time around. Let's see if we can jump onto anyone else. You can see that's Dismuskes heading out from the pits. I'm going to jump on board with Kai Koven here. 137.855 was their last lap, but it was not valid, so it is not going to become their best time. And I've got to say, a very striking Aston Martin here. Very good looking Aston Martin. We'll just say keeping an eye on here, because now we wait for a different option in terms of who can come out on top. I want to see what Kai Koven can do here. He has got a little bit of a toe, and he could potentially use this to his advantage. He's got, I believe that is a Ferrari up ahead. And if he gets in just the right proximity, he can get a little bit of a toe heading into the straight. That could save him valuable time here in this race. See a little bit of twitching. Doesn't look very confident at the wheel, I'm going to be honest. And confidence is something you need. You see the constant twitching, the micro adjustments in his driving as he goes through the circuit here. You can see it is a 138.1, so again, not going to be an improvement here from Kai Koven. And we've got 2 minutes left here in free practice. Who else is out on track? Unfortunately, there's no clean way to jump to a particular driver. Dismuskes is going to be coming across the line now. Is he going to be getting an improvement? No, so it looks like this was a burner lap. Let's see now if he can actually convert into a strong one. Going very wide on the apex here. Yeah, quite wide on the apex. That is not an ideal line, but just because you take that unideal line doesn't mean that your lap is necessarily a complete goner. Even if he nails the sector 2 and 3, could slot himself about the middle of the pack. And plus, to say, free practice, it's all about finding your limit. It's all about understanding where your car is placed, where your car can and can't push. You can see heading down back straight now. On the second primary straight beyond the start-finish line. You can see he's really sending it here, just because, but he cannot overcommit heading into these next set of corners. A little bit wide. Oh, getting a little bit sideways there. Does manage to catch it. Goes into the runoff. And say final minute here in free practice before we head into qualifying. So if there is a time that you need to find your limit and lock it down, now is going to be the time. There we go, across the line. It is a 139.825, so it is going to be P17, and it is going to be valid. Despite the initial shuffle, I believe the in-game stewards decided that it was all fair game, and it didn't need to be sort of scrutinized. and didn't need to be worried about too much. So here we go. Free practice has officially ended now, folks. And the final times are going to be this. So Richie's going to be at the top of the field with a 133.945 and going to be at the top of the pro leaderboard. Pro Am is going to be going to Galamini with a 135.7 here in free practice. You really see a bit of disparity there. The Ragsdales are doing very well though. 134.5 and only 17 milliseconds between them. It's going to put them in very good stead. Gregorelli taking the amateur spot, the top amateur with a 136.4. We've got a fair bit of distribution among quali candidates for all classes, and we could see a little bit of upset. Like with Valencia, we did see a couple of Pro-Am drivers really punch above their weight. So letting them punch above their weight is kind of the name of the game. And as we can see, as they're pulling through final lap here from Dismukes, they're going to be finishing up their run before heading back into the pits, and that's going to be Cook behind him. Is there going to be an improvement? No. 40.7 is not going to be it, and you can see this is it. Qualifying has officially begun, folks, and immediately we've got drivers who are coming out. Everyone's coming out in droves, flooding out, trying to get some space on track and just get their car out, get their lap as soon as possible. So pretty much the entire grid is going to be jumping out here, and this is kind of last chance to lock in the setup, lock in car control, and make sure you are comfortable with the car. 20 minutes to get a good lap in may seem like a lot, but when you are pushing these cars and you've got to consider track evolution, you cannot screw around. You cannot squander any of those 20 minutes. As you can see, already a minute elapsed due to the overflow with free practice. So I think we're going to stick on board with Cook here. So at the bottom of the Pro-Am division, as it currently stands, does have a good amount of potential in him. And with that all in mind, a few candidates that I would say to keep our eye on, chat. With 20 minutes to go, or 18 and a half minutes even, I would say keep an eye on Galamini. Keep an eye on Starkey, because he did get P4 in Pro-Am, and he does also, you can see him there in the blue Aston. He does have a few tricks up his sleeve, for sure. You can see they're all slowing down, trying to get the heat in their tyres as quickly as possible. Really try and warm up the rubber, because if you can get that to optimum temperature, you're going to have a lot more grip at your disposal. Here we are, so going on first flyers. This is where it gets spicy. This is where it gets good. So staying on board with Cook for quali here, and we're going to see the time start to flood in on the timing tower. Let's jump on board and see what Cook can do. Let's see. Ooh, that is going to be someone behind. That is going to be a Porsche. I believe that was Gregorelli. So he's going to have to yield. He's going to have to get out of the way of the other quali drivers. As you can see, he's chasing down Starkey. And trying to keep in good proximity. You don't want to be so close as you do not want to be getting dirty air, but you also don't want to be too far because you lose the slipstream. It's a trade-off, and it's a strategic game with some of these drivers that you play corner by corner, and that's something I will always have respect for with these guys. It's the fact that they can strategize and adjust and constantly adapt on the fly completely. Even things like track temperatures, surface temps, tire temps. You see a little bit of wiggle there from Cook, adapting to the fact that maybe his tires aren't at optimal temperature. And all these little factors that drivers love to sort of calculate, judge, and then adjust their strategy on the fly. It really is something to respect, something to see. Here we are, getting some times through on the board now. You're going to see, say, Starkey P6, Cook going to be faster in P4, 36.4. And as the initial run of laps come through here, Everett going to be another one to keep an eye on. Say 37.1, so a good run from them. Svelto did not get a lap. It was Svelto who went off the track earlier, in fact, just ahead of us. It was not Gregorelli, so that was my mistake there. And to jump board Homer, 36.7. Let's take a look at the current timetable and see who has got a lap down. So 10 drivers out of the 19 have got a lap in. And Ricci is going to be taking the top of the timesheet so far with a 33.9. Almost half a second clear of the rest of the field. You got to respect that. He dominated in Valencia, and this could be a similar story here in Misano. But Ragsdale is going to be certainly challenging the number 26 car, as he seems to be the only one in the same hemisphere as that Lamborghini right now. But looking around the rest of the field, say Sims 37.3, that is the base time and the time that other drivers are going to have to beat at least. Well, at this point, you just don't want to get an invalid time. That really is the priority above all else. So we're on board with another Lamborghini. This is going to be Pryor here, rocking a very nice Budweiser livery. And you can see there how much of the curb that he takes on the exit to just try and extend out. Oh, that's Svelto jumping up into P6. Very impressive there. Homer, I think, got another good run there as well. Going to be leapfrogging the amateur class driver. Pryor's going to be coming across the line now. What's he going to be getting? That's going to be a P5. That's a 36.2. Great job there from the Lamborghini. Gregorelli now going to be coming across, going to be jumping up to P8 with a 36.4. Dismukes is going to be another driver to keep an eye on, who is going to be starting their lap now, and I think we're going to stick on board with them. So we did give them a little bit of a spot in free practice, but let's keep that momentum going as we watch and look onward with the Porsche. Porsche is an interesting one. It seems to be a little bit twitchy, at least from some of the visuals that we've been seeing. Gregorelli is going to be jumping up into P. Oh no, we already covered that. We'll say we got a few different drivers who are jumping up and around the field right now. Sometimes hard to keep track in between talking about other points. Rios, I think, just jumped up the field there. And a few drivers are starting to consider what they're going to be doing with the second half of qualifying, as I believe Gallimini or Blanchett just leapfrogged Pryor down to P6. And movements are happening all the way around the field. So Kai Koven going to be joining Gregorelli and Svelto up there. See, as we're coming to the second half of the track. So Durazio's up in P8 now. Sims is going to be going P13. He's going to split the amateur driver roster. Dismuke is going to be coming around the last few corners now. All big extend, though, going very wide. You see the car getting really unsettled coming out of turn 15 and heading back to the start-finish straight through turn 16. I don't think that's going to be valid. I guess we'll see. They might allow it. No, that is not going to be a valid lap because it did not go under best time. And Ragsdale and Everett are just coming out for the pits. They're going to be doing a second run, but Ragsdale has jumped Ricci on the timing sheet. So a 33.8 from Colby Ragsdale is going to see him jump up the board and a 10th ahead of last race's winner and pole sitter. So I'm eager to see who's going to be coming out on top out of these two. You can see best Sector 1 and Sector 3, but it's not by much. It's talking half a tenth here, and only two drivers have yet to set a time now. So we have Cameron and Dismukes, and a few drivers who are starting to leapfrog one another, jump around a bit. The other Ragsdale in the 720S is going to be coming through. But Richie's going to be immediately retaking his crown with a 33.5. So we've got plenty of action to be going through here. Okay. Jumping aboard with Starkey quickly as he's about to cross the line. Let's see what he can do. He's going to leapfrog Cook. It's going to be a 36 flat. He's going to head off the track in order to not disrupt another driver. Who's going to be Homer. So he's almost like jumping through the pits. Pryor is going to be coming across the line. It's a 1:38.8. He's not going to be getting a new time, but he is going to be setting himself up for a good run there. So Dismukes with another go, about to cross the line. Let's see what he can do. Is it going to be valid? Again, another invalid run. Say Cameron now has jumped up into P14, so he kind of can't. Well, I say I can't really take these laps for granted anymore. We're halfway through quali. We are halfway through qualifying, and now we cannot take any more chances. So pretty much everyone has got a lap on the board. Although Blanchett going very wide there. Everyone has a time on the board, I believe, except Dismukes at the bottom. And you've got a fairly wide spread. So again, while Blanchett gets ready for their lap, we're going to jump across. I'm going to see that leading the pro tier is going to be Riccardo Ricci, with Colby Ragsdale in P2 with a 33.5 and 33.8 respectively. Looking at the Pro-Am roster, we have a big separation. So 135.1 of Gallimini is going to put him at the top. That Ferrari looking very strong here. And a 35.5 from Cook going to be the closest competitor. So about the same gap as with the two pros. But again, wait to see what happens. And then you've got Svelto really sort of punching upwards and hitting a P7 overall with a 35.4. Gregorelli is going to nudge up a little bit there, but I don't think that is going to be touched. That is looking very strong because the next driver down from that is going to be Cameron with a 36.3. So Blanchett's going to be starting a lap now, and let's see what they can do. Let's see, turns 1 and 2, looking fairly smooth, nice, and arcing out the car through turn 3. Ooh, a little bit of a wiggle there. You saw him sliding. Sort of hop in the cockpit view here, see kind of inputs that he's getting in the car. A little bit of short shifting. Watch when these drivers change gear. Oh, the big running wide. That is definitely going to be a bit of a sore. That's going to hurt in the morning, going over those sausage curbs. That is definitely going to hurt in the morning. Let's have a look at another driver, however. It's going to be Craig Starkey. You know, very, very creative Adidas livery there. And let's see if we can make an improvement. P13 right now, so towards the lower end of the Pro-Am roster. And with a net P4 in the Pro-Am group, we're going to see if we can get any better. You can see Blanchett behind. That is running a little bit wide there. Well, no, that is Everett. So sometimes with the colour palettes, they do look a little bit similar, but they are all creative in their own ways, especially the side profile. So I guess before we go further in quali, a big shout out to all the livery designers, because these liveries are nothing short of stellar. And I'm sure there's plenty of work that goes into these things. There we go. Coming to the line now. Starkey, very aggressive on the final corner and the curbs of turn 16. Is it going to be valid? Is it going to be good? It's a 36 flat and it's going to be P13. So it is an improvement, but it's not enough for a positions gain. So he's going to remain net P5 in that roster here. So Everett here is going to be still remaining P18 as he got 137.1 and did not improve last lap out. Looks like that was one of the Ragsdales going very wide. Yeah, that was Colby Ragsdale just headed into the pits. Let's look around the rest of the track. Say, Ayrton Kuykoven in the Aston Martin here. Just love the sound of these cars. Especially around Misano, the way the sound reverberates. Beautiful. Yeah, Koven going a little bit wide there. So just a little bit wide. As you can see, the other drivers like Koven's going to head back into the pits, interestingly. And that is going to leave a few different options. So Stuart Pryor is going to be P6. He did get an improvement, so he's now 135 flat. The final 5 minutes of qualifying are upon us. Gallimini is really sort of punching upwards and continuing to hold that strong spot. Carl Ragsdale is going to be another one to keep an eye on. Did get a 33.8, but it was not valid. So I think they are going for a full charge lap here. Let's see what they can do. Although getting a little bit loose on the rear. Certainly want to keep an eye on that. I'm noticing that the cars are a lot skatier on their rear tyres this time round. So a lot more slip coming out of the exit corners. A little bit of extend there from Ragsdale, for sure. So I wonder just how much drivers have reconfigured the aero for this track in particular. You've got a lot more high speed, but also a lot of hard braking zones. So finding that compromise is going to be different for everyone, taking into account their driving style too. Let's say turn 15, turn 16 now. Coming through the final corner. Is Carl Ragsdale going to be pushing any new ground this lap? It doesn't look like it. A 36.2, so a little bit of mistakes here and there does mean that they are going to be staying in P3 for the time being. We've got a few different drivers. We're going to keep our eye on Durasio here. Say EOS Esport Racing, what a name. But I think a new face to the Twilight Cup at least. And let's see what they can do. Let's see just how much car control is on display here. Time will tell who will come out on top. They're actually looking very strong. And also, do let me know in the chat if there are any changes to my pronunciations, because I don't have a pronunciation chart or anything like that. And, ooh, Durazio really losing the car coming through the second back straight there. He does manage to catch it. He does manage to avoid something catastrophic, which is great. But, yeah, that's certainly going to be a lap to forget. If I was Durazio there, I would be sort of maybe thinking about going for another run if my car is intact and I haven't got any pebbles. There you go. Robert Homer on 35.8, not going to be getting an improvement. A few drivers coming through. Carl Ragsdale 33.750, so he is going to improve, but it is not going to be a improvement enough to get to the top step. We're seeing a real arms race here between Riccardo Ricci, Colby and Kyle Ragsdale, because they're all within a couple tenths of each other, and this is going to be absolutely electrifying when it comes to the race. I assure you that we are going to see fireworks between these three drivers. Ricci looked very much untouchable earlier in the Cup with Valencia, but now it looks like we will be seeing a little bit more of a frontward fight. So you're looking around the rest of the field, say Gallimini is going to be 1.3 seconds behind the top run of the session of Ricci here, but he is also going to be about 7/10 ahead of his next main rival, which is going to be Cook in the AMG GT3. So let's take a bit of a look around as we're in fact jumping board with Gallimini here, and we can maybe take a bit of an investigation into just what makes him so fast. Just listen for all the different sounds. You can hear how the tyres are sort of being stretched, put on the edge of grip. You can hear the car going over the curbs as he rings it out to the absolute limit. Yeah, running a very, very striking purple and white livery there. Certainly catches the eye. You can in fact see LEDs through a lot of the grills, so these cars littered with lights and panels, making sure that you can never miss them. And liveries like that certainly make sure of that. And we absolutely love it. Just a reminder, folks, as we have the final minute of qualifying, if you enjoy what you see, definitely be sure to support us over on Patreon. If you enjoy it, it allows us to invest in things like graphics and allows us to invest in making the racing and competition even better. Running servers, you name it. It's all thanks to the people at home who watch and the people who get involved. So supporters get additional roles and benefits. You'll definitely want to check it out, as well as joining the Discord. But here we go, final 30 seconds in qualifying. This is kind of the last chance for anyone to get good runs. Gallimini is going to be abandoning there, not going to be getting anything out of it. You're going to be seeing Paul Sims coming through. 136.1 is good enough for P14, but it's not going to be enough to get any meaningful time. You see Svelto coming into the pits. You've got Adam Rios, who is on a run here now as we have 10 seconds left to go. So drivers will have to finish their laps now. They're basically out of time. This is the lap that needs to count. As you can see, you've got Moffat. You've got Moffat just behind there. As Daniel Moffat is going to be abandoning and heading back to the pits following an extension coming out turn 13. So here we are, qualifying is done. Is anyone else going to be setting a time here? There's going to be Rios. 136.4 is going to be jumping up to P16. As we have two drivers left on track. We have Cook and we have Kaikoven. Going to hop aboard with Cook now. He's going to be the next to finish his run here. And remember, this is the one that needs to count, because this is your last shot. 12, let's see. 12, 13, looking good. 14, 15, and 16 here. As Cook's going to be coming across the line, really swinging it wide through the final corner. And what's it going to be? That is the end of the session. He's going to jump up into P8, and you can see the timing sheet. So Riccardo Ricci is going to be taking the top spot with a 133.527. Colby Ragsdale with a 0.095 difference, so about a tenth in it. And then Carl Ragsdale 2/10 behind, both in the McLaren. So that McLaren looking very strong here around Misano, along with the Lamborghini, almost being textbook by this point with Riccardo Ricci's hands on it. Looking at the Pro-Am division, Gallimini is going to retain his top spot. Cook did manage to get within a few tenths of him and close that gap, but it is not going to be enough. Gallimini is going to remain the fastest of the Pro-Am division, with Svelto coming in exactly a tenth ahead of Gregorelli to be P10 and net P1 of the amateur division. And you can see the rest of the times lining up across the field. So as we wait for the session to get restarted, there is the full timing detail for everyone here, and we will be in just a second heading into the race. Don't go anywhere, folks. Alright, here we go, folks. This is it, and everyone, as you can see, as the cars are bobbing, that is the last sort of second adjustments and making sure all drivers are instanced and ready to go. So here we go, 45-minute race, no mandatory pit stop. It's all going to be out on the track today, and I can't wait to see what happens. Hopefully you in the chat are all enjoying as well. And in just a minute, we are going to be starting the session, and we are going to be having ourselves an absolute corker of a race. So 45 minutes of running. And of course, who dares wins. And we will also give you real-time updates as to what is happening with incidents. We'll be getting plenty of real time.
30 seconds.
So 30 seconds to race start. You heard it here, folks.
20 seconds. 10 seconds.
I can't wait. As the timer ticks down, we're about to get formation going. And looks like we are nearly ready to go. I think we're just waiting on Kykhoven, but Kykhoven looks to be starting in the pit lane. Not sure whether that was maybe due to a quali incident, or whether they just haven't left the pits yet. But here we are. This is where it gets good, folks. So we've seen the lead up, we've seen quali, and I'm sure everyone has their driver that they plan to root for. I'm certainly gonna see. I'm personally excited for the fight at the front, because you have the Lamborghini of Roberto Ricci. You have the two McLarens, the lightning duo of Kyle and Colby Ragsdale chasing up very close behind. So I do wonder, are we going to see a little bit of team play, a little bit of tactics between the two to try and take our current winner, our current top sitter down? That is the question that I have on my mind. So here we are, so coming through as the formation lap is on. You can see him just say, pushing the car, trying to get the engine up to temp, trying to get the tyres up to temp. And we're all waiting for that glorious, all right, go green, go, go, go. But the track is hot right now, and it's about to get spicy. Final couple of corners before we get this race going. You can see Ricci slowing right down. He's going to control the launch of the race. You can see everyone say chomping at the bit to get going. There we are. Everyone is in proper formation. All in proper formation, ready to start the race. You can see all these drivers have been briefed properly on procedure. And we're going to be on board on the back of Roberto Ricci as the race makes its start. So here we go to the start-finish straight now. The track is about to go hot. This is it. 45 minutes. The timer is about to start as we roll to the start line. And there we go. This is it. Go, 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 go. 45 minutes. Timer starts now. And it's a great getaway from Roberto Ricci. He's going to get the immediate jump and going to overtake, make sure that he gets that early spot against Colby Ragsdale. He's going to be looking very good here, and is going to be a little bit of battle further down as you've got Daniel Moffat losing a little bit of grip. D'Orazio is going to be chasing. Cook's going to go very deep on the inside, looking for a potential move here too. Oh, but what's that? That's going to be a potential collision, and almost say inviting the live stewards there, as that is going to be Robert Homer getting involved in a collision there. Also, that was D'Orazio. Robert Homer is in fact going to be taking the fight to D'Orazio here with a great move down the inside. You can see from the heli cam that a lot of these drivers, I'll just say, fighting for space, looking for opportunities by this point. A little bit of a dive there from Pryor, going a little bit further back, but is not going to materialize into anything. And we've got a few drivers who are really sort of lagging at the back. So Dismakes, Everett, and Kai Koven are way further back, a few corners back now, in fact. And this is where things could come into a little bit of trouble. Looking at the front of the field, though, you can see these top three. Richie and the Ragsdales. Sounds like a pretty fun sitcom, but this time it's all about the on-track battle. So how the Ragsdales are going to coordinate and try and chase down that Lamborghini, we're not sure, but we can see that already Roberto Ricci's almost starting to pull a little bit of a gap. Ragsdale is going to take... So we're going to take a few fastest sectors from the different drivers here, as the timing board is a little bit slow to update at points. Chase game a little bit. Yeah, let's take a little bit of a look behind. We're on board with Robert Homer right now. He had a little bit of a fight earlier with Diorezio, sorry. And I wonder, is he going to make any form of response? So we're trying to use the Porsche's like mild advantage when it comes to rotation. That 296 is looking very aggressive and very hungry for position right now. And the massive queue of drivers further behind. You can see them all coming through. They're looking a bit further up ahead. We have a potential battle brewing between Gallimini and Daniel Moffat here. Of course, say Gallimini is a Pro-Am driver, whereas Moffat's Pro. So he's definitely want to get past and get up to his main pack. He'll be wanting to close the gap and trying to get some much needed points on the board for himself. He's chasing him down right now. Jump on board with the hood cam. Watch him try to almost mimic his lines through the straights, but try and stay out of them during the corners. And the reason behind this is that if you're in the immediate toe, you get the least amount of drag, but this also means that your aero does not work as efficiently, because you've got more turbulent air, we call it, coming over the aero surfaces on the car, and the car is designed for stable airflow. So now is where we see a few drivers kind of just sort of stabilizing in terms of positions. So Carlo Diorezio is in fact dropped down a little bit. He was chasing down Robert Homer, but now he's gone all the way to P9. He's lost out to both Cook and Pryor. So I wonder, is he maybe struggling with that car a little bit? Let's keep an eye on him for now, but another one we will keep an eye on is going to be Ryan Blanchett. Ryan Blanchett, as it were, because they have got potential trouble on both ends. You've got Craig Starkey, who's going to be coming around the outside, but he's also been trying to chase down Svelto for a much needed spot to get closer to the likes of Cook and Homer. So this is where a little bit of a mid-pack fight could start to break out here, folks, especially if Starkey has his way. Let's see, looking for options there is Blanchett. That's the name of the game, is you watch these cars sort of duck left and duck right. They're both trying to break the slipstream and trying to get the most out of it. So Craig Starkey is going to be aiming down the inside to try and get a move done, but it's not going to be enough. He is going to be putting that subtle pressure on Ryan here. And that is going to eventually build, but a move has not materialized yet, and that's the crucial thing. We see a little bit of a trade. That is going to be Robert Cook getting overtaken by D'Orazio, and you can see he's struggling for control. I'm not sure what's happened. What has happened to Richard Cook? He's all of a sudden dropped down a couple places from both Pariah and D'Orazio. So just seemingly suddenly having a massive drop-off in performance there. And quite a gap has already amassed. I wonder if he's struggling with the car. Maybe he had a bit of a snap that he didn't quite predict to catch. Let's in fact take a look on board with Starkey here as we jump back to this sort of rearward battle. Blanchett is just up ahead. Yeah, again, you can see, watch him hammer through the gears and watch him stay almost like half and half. Now, if you can get on the inside line, without getting too much into aero science, if you can get on the inside line of a car that's ahead of you, the inner aero surfaces are going to work harder and turn your car in. Almost like getting pushed down on one side, which helps it to lean into the corner more. Now, I'm not sure if ACC has that level of simulation depth as to simulate aero lean, but I guess we will see. But one thing we do see is Spelto having a big slide and a little bit of discomfort there, as up ahead Jessica Spelto is going to be dropping back massively. He's going to be heading wide. He almost comes back into the path of Craig Starkey. That could have ended very badly, but he is going to be just out of harm's way in time. He's going to be dropping back 2 places, and now is in fact going to be in the crosshairs of Paul Sims, the, as of current, lowest standing pro driver. And annoyingly, our timing board has bugged out a little bit, so my apologies for that, folks. It should not read. It should read as Spelto, and there we go. It's just corrected itself now. So here we are, Paul Sims here, going a little bit wide. Going a little bit wider to try and get a move on Francesco Spelto, but it's not going to happen yet. We have a look from the on-boards and now from some of the TV cameras. You can see he's just trying to chase him down. So we're starting to get our first penalties coming through here. So the reason some of the other drivers are further back and why Rios has now got a 10-second penalty is due to an unsafe rejoin following a mild collision. Let's have a look around. So 10 minutes into the race so far, we have a few key winners. We have, of course, some winners and some losers, but Roberto Ricci remains in the first position as of current, but is not by a mile because Colby Ragsdale is keeping him honest right now, as is his teammate Kyle. So they're both keeping this driver honest and making sure that they do not get too far. We could see a proper battle on our hands as we sort of watch along. We've got Daniel Moffat, who's kind of in a space of his own with Gallimini not too far behind. So we did get that position trade. Gallimini is going to be leading by a very comfortable margin against Robert Homer. And Robert Homer himself is under pressure as D'Orazio is going to be making a move down the inside. And Homer is going to immediately get the switch back. That's a real good move. Big slide there from D'Orazio. Is going to lose a little bit of speed coming out of the corner, and Pryor is going to be capitalizing on that. That's Stuart Pryor heading down the inside. This is going to be a potentially very spicy move here. He is going to get it done, has the inside on lock. Is Robert Homer going to respond here? Is there going to be anything that he can do? You can see him peeking down the inside, but he's not close enough. He hasn't got that kind of aim in. He hasn't got that route in. And you do not want to be in what we call, say, the vortex of no return, or unsafe overtakes. That is the last place that you want to be. Because if you are trying to go for an overtake as that window is closing, someone's going to get contact and someone is going to be walking away unhappy and probably with a penalty. So we are, say, just over half an hour to go. And things are looking very strong. So taking a look at the table, we have so far Roberto Ricci leading by about 1.7 seconds, give or take. And then you have a few different drivers coming through. Intervals starting to be posted now as they cross the start-finish line. You have a few drivers who really seem to be struggling a little bit out there. And that is namely going to be Smukes, Everett and Kaikoven are much further back. And I'm not sure what has caused that, because Kaikoven has not been involved with any incident. I can understand about Everett because they did get involved in a spin slightly earlier in the race, which unfortunately we did not catch. They get a spin with 47 and another spin that gave Rios the penalty there, but as I say, not really much that can be said for some of the other drivers down here. I'm going to jump on board with Diorazio just because he's done really well so far. It's put itself up in P6, had a really good battle with some of the other drivers, and has kind of proved his worth, let's say. He's shown his mettle. And that I can absolutely respect. So being in a situation like he's been in, coming out on top. What we do love to see. And he kind of, at the moment, I have to say, he's in a very awkward position. So he's done well to get into P6, but now he's got a massive gap between himself and Galamini in P5. So he's got two potential outcomes from this. He's either got an opportunity to really sort of open up the taps and have no distractions in front of him. He's only got a little bit of pressure behind, but Praia is not that big of a threat, and you can barely see Galamini in the distance. So he can either really knuckle down, lock in some great laps in clean air, or because he hasn't got a reference point ahead of him, he could find himself being a little bit too aggressive and overextending, which is also a little bit of a worry. So will this driver come out in a good position, or will he start to struggle? We're going to have a look a little bit further down as we are seeing a few positional changes. So I think we just saw Blanchett and Spelto trading spots, and we could see a further few changes as the grid itself kind of stabilizes elsewhere. We've got Gregorelli, who is leading the amateur pack, under threat by Craig Starkey. And you can see the consistency of Craig's lap times really going in there. 0.002 of a second, so 2 milliseconds separated his best time and his last lap. Brilliant driving there, really consistent. That is the kind of performance you want. That is the kind of performance that is going to move you up the board. So Starkey, so net P4 of his respective class. But is he going to be able to get past Gregorelli to challenge P3 and P2, who are kind of embroiled in a little fight of their own? Running very wide onto the pebbles there. There's a little flex of rubber gets stuck on your tyres, and that could be problematic for grip levels. Notice how the track has now rubbered in. So where you see that darker line coming through the track, where other drivers have really sort of pushed their car, and you can see it getting especially dark around corners. That is the racing line, and you want to stay on that because rubber on rubber grip is better than rubber on asphalt. Starkey, though, is looking a little bit shaky at a massive overextend, I'd say, coming out of that corner, coming out of turn 11. But he is going to keep the chase on and keep the fight going. So a little bit of a pace drop from his last lap, but otherwise looking good. Richard Cook and Robert Homer is another fight that we are certainly going to be keeping our eye on, as these two have kind of traded blows and traded spots for a good chunk of the race. Yeah, they're kind of trading a lot here. Looks like a brief yellow came out, and that is a potential, you say, a big yellow flag, as we saw Svelto dropping down, and they're going deep into the pebbles. That is a Scott Cameron, and say between Scott Cameron and 92. So these two have had a little bit of an altercation, and that has sort of dropped positions. Oh, big shake from Francesco Svelto. That could be giving Scott Cameron an opportunity here. It's going to be drag racing him down the back straight. These two are going to be great, really going in hard, but Scott Cameron is going to have the inside, and he is going to take it. It is going to be a very firm, confirmed P14 as Francesco Svelto. Oh, he's lost control. He's gone through the foam boards, and he's lost it completely. He's backwards on track. Oh, he's coming in right in the corner. That could be right in the path. Oh, just avoided Dismukes there. That could have been really dangerous if he joined just a second later. That was a very risky rejoin, I have to say, from this perspective. Svelto, so losing control. He's going to be coming out of this in P17, which is not looking good for him here. He's going to be net P4 of the amateur class, and Cameron is going to be jumping up to P2 overall. Looking further up the grid, we do have a little bit of a fight that's about to go down between Starkey and Gregorelli. So you can see the proximity between not only them, but the front group of Cook and Homer has really shrunken. So this could be shaping up to a four-way battle in just a lap or so's time. 26 minutes left. Time is ticking. See him getting so close there. And oh, what's happened? Stuart Pryor disqualified from the race. What has just happened there? I don't believe what I'm seeing. I'm going to have to wait to get confirmation on that from someone maybe in the lobby or the pit wall as to what is going on. Greg Starkey, LSRM, chasing down Gregorelli. Even if he's not in his own race, Gregorelli is a key target right now for Craig. As once he can get past, he can really open up the taps and start making some challenges to the rest of the Pro-Am class. Starkey doesn't want to be here. He wants to be up there with the big boys, with the Galaminis, the Homers, the Cooks. And the Cook is in the kitchen as he's going to be starting to close the gap, I think, between himself and Homer. As you can see, we can kind of keep an eye on the battle between Gregorelli and Starkey in the background as well. But I have my eye on Cook as he's going to be pushing to try and chase that Porsche down. And oh, that is another car on track. Who is that? Is that Everett? I believe that is Everett, who has just rejoined the track. Oh no, that's Carlo Di Orazio. What's happened there? And no, he's lost control again. He's really just bottled it. He had such a good position earlier. He's P6, and now is all the way down in P11 and continuing to drop like a stone. I'm not sure what's going on, but he seems to be just spinning on the track. There we go, finally, so getting himself back on track and back in shape. But it is a P13 spot, and you can see he's really just... I think something is definitely wrong with that car. There is definitely something wrong with that car, because to lose control like that and then also be struggling that hard to get it back on, I do worry for him there with what's going on. Richard Cook is getting very close to Robert Homer. That gap is definitely smaller than the last lap we checked in on him. Craig Starkey also looking for a couple of moves. You can see in the background between the fight here and the fight with Starkey and Gregorelli. This mid-pack, like with last race, this mid-pack is really where we want to be. Gregorelli and Starkey are going to be duking it out. Starkey's going to take the inside. Gregorelli is going to yield here, and that is going to be a smooth move from the Aston Martin. So halfway through the race, you just heard over the comms, and that is going to be a nice move there. Addy Dad, as he's called it so affectionately on his livery, the Addy Dad, or Addy Daddy, is going to be jumping through. That is going to be one of these sort of big milestones for him here. As halfway through the race, he now has a key opportunity to make some moves up in his class. So Robert Cook is going to be continuing to chase down, but we also have a few movements, as we are going to see that Sims is down in P11 and Pariah is, say, in the pit lane still. Rios has that 10-second penalty. Svelto and Diorazio, or is that a little bit of a bug in the position? And oh, someone's gone off the side. That's Dismakes there. I'm not sure if he got tipped, but that looked like he is, say, just lost control through the final corner. And you have Scott Cameron with 10 seconds to his name also. See a beautiful sound of those engines as we rocket through Misano. I'll say 7:30 in the evening, so 27 degrees on track temps, as you can see. Yeah, Diorazio. Not sure what's going on with you, bud, but looking like a sitting duck out there, as Cameron is going to be coming through the inside and is going to be trying to claim the apex against the other driver here, against the Italian. You can see him running wide there. It looks like we have confirmation from the stewards in the chat here that say Pryor was disqualified for excessive track cutting and breaching of track limits. So I'm not sure whether they were maybe doing a big extend to try and get more pace. As you can see further back, Dismakes is going to be dropping and yielding to Roberto Ricci, who's going to be lapping them by this point. So blue flag rules are in place and to be respected. Bobby Ragsdale is going to be continuing his chase, but it's a couple of seconds in it now, which is kind of a key point to note. So he has certainly kept that chase on, and Roberto Ricci, in fact, a little bit of a shaky move there, a little bit of a wiggle. Let's see, looking up the field, Ayrton Koikoven going to be pushing up. Robert Everett is going to be trying to get around Francesco Svelto. He is going to have the inside. He's going to stick it on the racing line. Really just pull that car through the corner. And a good move there from that Ferrari 296 is going to put him in P13. So great job. P13, net P7 still at the bottom of the class, but he's now got the opportunity to catch up to Rios. And he has got the 10 seconds, so he might as well be net P6 already. we are. Jumping a little bit further up, we can sort of see procedurally what's going on, and it looks like Craig Starkey has made good on his plans from earlier. So now, having got past Greg Rowley, he could really open up, and you can see flashing even almost as a way to taunt Cook. Yeah, almost as a way to taunt Richard Cook. He's flashing his lights. He's saying, hello, I'm here, nice to meet you. May I fancy your P7, by any chance? Well, can he make good on that here, as he has dropped off a little bit in these last couple of corners? Yes, before we continue as well, we have got one of them in chat, but massive love to the live stewards and anyone responsible, all the admins, all the live stewards, the guys and gals, and any others who are making this possible. Kind of just sort of enamored watching these cars go round and round. I know we have our moments where it's a little bit quieter, but I'm just enamored by these cars. Just the level of control on display by these drivers, their ability to keep it controlled and keep these cars stable when it's so easy, especially on this game, to just lose it all. Kokoven is going to be served a 10-second penalty for causing a collision with Dismukes and going to be dropping down to P18 there. So Dismukes actually had a fairly good race up until that point. They had been slowly siphoning up the field and moving up places, but yeah, so that was a result of that rear tip. That is going to be 10 seconds applied. We've got Fabio Gallimini, who's going to be leading the Pro-Am class completely in his own space. In fact, could be looking to even push a little bit further. I would not be surprised if, although they did eventually lose the position to Daniel Moffat, I would not be surprised if we see them try and maybe close that gap a little bit. Moffat is also in his own space because there's about, give or take, 10 seconds splitting himself and Kyle Ragsdale in P3. Dismukes a lap behind. In fact, let's take a look at the timings very quickly as we see a few drivers come across the line. It will take a little second for it to calibrate, but you can see there 1.4 seconds, 6.8 seconds. You've got the 8s, the 2s, the 11s. It is just, say, calibrating at the moment. There's a few laps difference between them all here. And as we look on with the live splits and the live deltas for Daniel Moffat here, he's going full send, full push. Bit of engine braking there while you're at it. Gentle on the brake. You don't want to overdo it. I would love to take the time and to analyze one of these drivers just one day. Let's say, yeah, analyze their driving, analyze what they're really doing. As you can see, on board with Robert Homer here. Fairly aggressive on the traction control. Probably as a means to tame this crazy car. These GT3 machines are no joke when it comes to control. You can see there, Robert Cook. A little bit shaky there. Things could get spicy. Well, Richard Cook, sorry. You can see loving the support coming out in the chat for different drivers. So we had support for Ragsdale's earlier. We've got support for Galamini now. We love to see it. Keep it coming. Richard Cook. Richard's asking to cook. I think we might let him. We'll see if we can get past Homer here. And no, that could almost... No, it's a... Did get lucky there. Did get very lucky there with the positioning. Because if he had done that on a straight, if he lost that much speed on a straight, then he would have lost that position for sure. But in the end, his mistake ended up actually pushing Starkey a little bit further back. Concertina style. So a bit of a concertina effect for sure, as Starkey had to brake harder to compensate for Richard Cook. So, let him. Richard wants to cook. I say we let him. Let's see what on-track Spicy cooks up. As we've crossed the 15-minute threshold. We have 13 minutes to go. So the final third of the race here, folks. And we have got quite a few different drivers that we have loved to watch over the course of this race. So before we continue, I do want to give a highlight to two main drivers, Roberto Ricci and the joining Colby Ragsdale, because look at them. They are both in their own realm and they are both pushing super hard. Carl Ragsdale a little bit further behind, but he has got two drivers in the way of him. But yeah, these two have both just had an excellent race so far and have kept each other very, very much on the ragged edge. They know that if they make a slip up, that could be their race win hopes over. So where do we even begin with these two? I would say love to sit down with them, analyze how they drive, and really get a few insights in due time. And we'll see where the final round takes us as well. So I'll say that's Rios down in P15, so both struggling for position and with 10 seconds to his name alongside Scott Cameron, and it is in the way of Kyle Ragsdale here. I'll say, are we going to see a smooth pass? There you go, blue flag in full motion. Good on-track sportsmanship being shown by all the drivers involved here. And ooh, big connection hiccup there. I almost had an anxiety attack seeing that. Say Ragsdale into... Yeah, Ragsdale in the rags. I almost had, yeah, minor anxiety attack seeing what just kicked off there. Carlo Orazio, is he going to be hopping out the way for that blue flag alongside Svelto? Let's see what's going on here. Actually, what is going on here? At what point did Cook drop down? The Cook has not only dropped behind Craig Starkey, he's dropped behind Gregorelli too. Did he have a mistake? Did he go off track? I can only wonder. Must have done. No way he would have had this much of a drop-off this quickly. That much of a drop-off is certainly one to be studied. I wonder if the team back at shop is going to be looking at that, wondering what exactly happened. Here we go. Looking back on with the leaders here, as Roberto Ricci is going to be stuck behind Francesco Svelto, and this could be closing the gap between himself and Colby Ragsdale. So if he can't get this Porsche out of his way pretty quickly, and you can see they're diving down the inside just perfectly, and a little bit of a tap from, I think that's Kaikovin there. Oh no, that is Carlo Orazio. So a little bit of a tap is going to mean, and ooh, say that's going to be Colby Ragsdale coming through. Yeah, a little bit. A little bit aggressive. You can see the flashing of the lights. I think Durazio is a little bit frustrated by that move. So yeah, Colby Ragsdale has got it done. Has got it done. But at what cost? A little bit of a tap there. I think it might be regarded as a racing incident, if it is even scrutinized by the stewards at all. There we are. These two reunited once again, and now much closer than they were previously, which is crucial here. Now Colby could be in potential tow distance for some of the straights. That could be very important for him. So yeah, again, use the aero to full advantage. Use the inside line. Make it steer your car into the corner. The aero lean is real. You can see you have to yield a little bit. You hear him yielding in some of the corners. Going very much. He's going hard into the apexes, just trying to cut out whatever time he can. Diorazio getting a little bit shaky there, just a bit further behind. And you can see Kyle and Colby are a real powerhouse of a duo. They can back each other up. They're in just enough proximity, but they are separated by a couple of other on-track runners. We're looking around. Could be a bit of a battle about to brew between Craig Starkey and Robert Homer. We have just under 7 minutes left. So final few runs, final few laps, this is where it's coming down to now, folks. So in the case of Starkey, he's got a key decision to make. He's net P3 of the Pro-Am class, and he needs to make a call. If he's going to get this move done and lock it in, he basically needs to start planning and executing it now. It's only got 6 minutes 30 left, and that is about 4 laps, give or take. He cannot afford to burn any more time behind this other driver. So what is it going to be? Watching, looking for his opportunity. You can see getting a little bit of gain. Does almost think about going for a move. I love these cars, so in tune with their drivers. They almost communicate through their movements, their actions, as to what they plan to do, what the thought process is of the driver behind it. So you can see here, Starkey's tentative. He's looking around, looking for options. He's trying to maximize his opportunity while he has it before it's gone. So, peeking around the outside and looking for a chance. Just a single one, just a small iota of a chance. That's all he needs. He could set himself up really well here and start finish straight. So chasing him down again, say, bit of concertina effect, the early braking of Homer kind of left him with nowhere to go. Had to dive a bit more on the brakes than he maybe would have liked. And these two continue to fight and continue to drag each other through the coals in terms of pressure. Rigorelli looking very strong for the amateur class here. He's completely in a space of his own, and he's right mixed in with the Pro-Ams. So great job being done by Gregorelli here, as is Gallimini, who is really pushing and really showing the kind of driver they are in terms of skill. So great job being had by these two in particular. Looking around the rest of the field, we do maybe have a couple of battles going. So Everett could be in there in a potential to start making back sometime, but say doubtful. I'd say Colby and Roberto Ricci are getting very close. And you've got a few drivers who are sitting here with penalties. Apologies for the jumping around on the timing board, but there are a lot of drivers mixed in here, and the game discerns this by going through position on track rather than position in race, which I do find a little frustrating, but there we go. That is ACC for you. Maybe there's a way to change the mode, who knows. Starkey and Homer, 3 minutes to go. Time is of the essence. Starkey's running out of it. 37.2, he's dropped off of his peak pace. Maybe the tyres are starting to give a little bit where he's overdriven the car over the course of these last few laps. Maybe exceeded the tyre wear that he otherwise would have liked. You can see him peeling around to the outside. He's trying to go for a bit of an overrun and get the speed down on Homer. Could he go for a switchback here? This is the question that is on my mind, and I'm sure on yours. He's chasing down that Porsche 992 GT3. Chasing him down inch by inch. He wants everything. And these two drivers are really pushing it out. You can hear them, you can watch them. Keep an eye on what Starkey does next. He's going to again push it to the outside, try and get a bit of an overrun in terms of speed, and getting very close there, almost touching rear quarter. Getting it very close here. This is basically final lap. This is now do or die. I say this battle absolutely riveting right now. Just lap after lap of hard racing and real sort of tactical moves. You can see they're going to the outside, then going to the inside, then peeling back. It's all about establishing that pressure. Very aggressive on the sausage curves from Starkey here. A bit of that desperation starting to show through just a tad. Time is of the essence. I don't know if Starkey's going to be able to make it work. Leader is officially on the final lap. You heard over the comms. This is the final lap of the race. Officially. I don't know if he's going to make it. I want to jump above. I want to jump a bit further ahead. And look at our top two runners. So Colby Ragsdale's, they've really done well to keep it close. But once again, Roberto Ricci is looking absolutely indomitable in this race here. We saw that level of dominance in Valencia, and we have also seen it today. Although not to the same degree, he still had no trouble getting another Grand Slam on his belt. He got fastest lap. He's got every lap led. And here in Misano, he could also be on the board for another win. All he needs to do is bring this car home. But what a performance once again from Roberto Ricci. He did not put foot wrong. Brought the pace lap in, lap out. And here we go. to cross the line and end the race with Colby Ragsdale just behind is Roberto Ricci, and that
Finish the race.
is race done, race over for our top runners here. So going through the rest of the field now and jumping around a little bit, we have Daniel Moffat and Carl Ragsdale who are going to be finishing the race too. As the rest of the drivers out on the field are going to be peeling in before long also. A last chance to get this move done. I think Starkey's kind of accepted his fate here. And he's accepted that he ain't going to be getting it. We have Carl Ragsdale now in the pits. Having finished his race. Daniel Moffat also about to jump into the pits too. Robert Homer and Craig Starkey going to be coming through here. Last ditch attempt down the inside. No, yes, maybe. Not quite. Unfortunately, Starkey is going to be walking away with just, say, that P7 and the P6 for Robert Homer. So we are back into the pits now. Gregorelli is going to take P6. A great job there, winning in the amateur class. Gallimini winning in the Pro-Am as well. Not one to be scoffed at. You can see as we land on Gallimini for the end. Great job. Absolutely brilliant job being had by all racers, but especially the winners to all of the different solo divisions here. So you can see on the timing board here, 29 laps later, we have Roberto Ricci winning the race for the Pro Division, with Colby and Carl Ragsdale just behind, 1.3 seconds and 14 seconds respectively. And you have Gallimini with another great race to win the Pro-Am. Gregorelli absolutely knocking it out of the park, being a whole 5 places ahead of his next competitor in the class and over a lap ahead of Svelto. So great job there. And you can see a little bit of chat coming through saying, okay, maybe a couple of incidents, so we might see these race results being changed. But say, Stuart Pryor is going to be DSQ for excessive track cutting, and this is your final standings for the race. So as a reminder, folks, these results are provisional. These results can be changed up to and including 24 hours after the race, because that is the cutoff for any other reports to come in and be reviewed by the stewards. So after that point, the race results will be fully ratified and posted to RaceNet, and you can catch it all on this YouTube channel and in the Discord and beyond. Once again, if you feel like supporting us, definitely check out the Patreon. And that is going to do it for the race. So for the second to last time, so remember, it is only 3 races, the Twilight Cup. It's a fairly short series. It is rather short as far as series goes, I do have to say. So a great race had by all before anything else is said. An absolutely brilliant race. And these drivers can certainly take pride in how well they performed. So with all of that in mind, we have round 1 completed. We have round 2 in Misano. And then we have round 3. Round 3 is going to take us to none other than the Nürburgring. I think what a way, what a place to take it as to round off the Twilight Cup. So a fairly quick race series and fairly quick understanding that these are just one of the many racing series that Lightspeed Racing has to offer. So again, check out the Discord if you haven't already. I've been your commentator, Sappytron. It's been great fun, and certainly is smoother than the first time. But I will see you folks at the Nürburgring, same time next week. You don't want to miss it. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.